the Biden administration.
Well, we don't have
The Biden administration.
Well, we don't have any military, weapon supply agreements with them. We offer them anything. So sanctioning them is not going to do very much. But sanctioning Russia could do a lot, or the Russian, the acolytes. So it certainly had an impact with Ukraine and got things moving there. So is this time to start considering sanctions against people who support Vladimir Putin, his bankers?
Yes, I think it's important for us to ratchet up the pressure against Russia. As you well know, just a few weeks ago, it was publicly announced that Russia was behind one of the broadest and most effective intrusions into our national security infrastructure and many top American companies. It surprised our intelligence community, our national security leadership, and President Trump failed to take decisive action in response to that. This puts front and center the ways in which Putin's Russia has interfered with our elections, with our security, with democracy in his own country. This is a significant adversary, and I think we should be using every tool in our toolkit to put increased pressure on Vladimir Putin for the actions that he and his government have taken against Navalny.
Well, it looks like the old Soviet Union. The sleeping bear has now awakened and is putting the clinches up onto its own people as well as other people too as well. So its true colors does come out pertaining to what Ronald Reagan accused them of being pertaining to an evil empire. It looks as if their smokescreen of democracy is now being opened up like a can of worms. And just this past weekend, they arrested over 5,000 protesters, and the weekend before that, 3,000 protesters. Once more, we see the heavy hand of the Iron Curtain that is still a territorial tyranny type government that wants to inflict injury and harm to its own citizens. Why must we sit back and watch an evil empire such as Russia inflict such pain upon its own people? No wonder the Ukrainians got away from that type of regime. No wonder the Ukrainians was at war with the Russian people, because they didn't want no part of President Putin's strong military hand in his harsh approaches towards wanting to dominate and dictate to its own people. In addition to what it has caused here in America towards problem after problem after problem in intercepting into our own personal affairs and then falsely accusing us of meddling. It's pretty obvious that what they're doing is of an evil source.
And finally, Merrick Garland being held hostage by Mitch McConnell once again, not getting his hearing yet, which could have been held long before now. And now the impeachment trial will, of course, preempt that. Because Mitch McConnell, improbably to the average person, is still in charge of these committees, even though the American people voted for Democrats to control the Senate. How is it possible that there is no organizing agreement yet?
This has to be resolved today or tomorrow. I think it has gone on too long. I respect that negotiations are the better path forward, but as I heard from Majority Leader Schumer earlier today, he is determined that we will have a path forward this week on organizing our committees. I am going to become the chair of the Ethics Committee. I am not yet. There are many other committees where it would surprise your average viewer to hear that someone, for example, like Senator Lindsey Graham, remains the chairman of the Judiciary Committee. and thus was able to block a hearing on Judge Merrick Garland, nominated by President Biden to be our next Attorney General. This is ridiculous. We are in the middle of a lot of challenging issues: criminal justice reform, national security, where we need an Attorney General, the top law enforcement official in the United States government. So I'm going to be pressing Senator Graham, Senator McConnell today on this. But frankly, we need to move forward by whatever means necessary. Hopefully, there will be a finally concluded bipartisan organizing resolution today or tomorrow. But if not, I will support our moving forward using 50 votes and a tie-breaking vote by the Vice President.
Stagnated conflict. Stagnated problems that has enveloped our way of thinking to the point that now we're having to spend more time on nefarious affairs such as this pertaining to our adversary and the things that our adversary is creating, rather than spending enough time on our own personal problems pertaining to our own citizens. Whenever the Bible says that in the last days that Satan will rise up in great wrath because he knoweth his time is short, that prophecy could not have been more fully and completely and accurately predicted than what we're seeing, and probably what we're going to see before we actually see a mighty movement of God from God's people towards seeing a revival that will elevate into a revolution. Simply because of the hand of Satan, the strong hand of various people that has worked for Satan, that has been engulfed in the affairs of Satan. And I'm not just talking about what's going on in China or Russia and other parts of the world. I'm talking about what's going on right here in the U.S., the cancer that has multiplied, that has grown to the intensity that it has towards basically compromising in our security and in our safety on every level imaginable. Once more, whenever the Bible preaches and teaches and tells us that Satan will rise up in great wrath in the last days because he knoweth his time is short, that particular verse could not have been any more accurate than what we're seeing today elevate and be generated throughout the world. Good luck to each and every one of us. This is a short briefing up on to what is going on, just a little bit of what's going on with our international affairs as well as our local affairs. Good luck to each and every one of us. And as we say at the Windmill Ministries, shalom. And God bless